Okay, let's unpack this. Our latest deep dive has taken us into a really fascinating, sometimes challenging situation unfolding right now in Assam.
Yeah.
That's a state in northeastern India.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission really is to try and understand this complex mix of law enforcement, deeply held cultural values, and, well, quite a bit of controversy around the Cattle Preservation Act of 2021.
Yeah, it's fascinating because these immediate events, they really shine a light on much bigger questions, don't they? About tradition, individual rights,
Right.
and just the basic fabric of a diverse society trying to navigate change. It's a real snapshot.
Exactly. And some details really jumped out at us. We're talking nearly 200 arrests in just 2 days.
Wow.
Large amounts of seized beef, suspected beef anyway, and even this political scandal involving these prized Gur cows.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer.
So settle in. We're going to explore what's happening on the ground, the specifics of the law itself, and these controversies that are making headlines. So maybe let's start with the immediate scene. Imagine this. Over just the past couple of days, authorities in Assam launched, well, a massive operation.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen reports, like I said, 196 people arrested, significant amounts of suspected beef seized. It feels like a very robust effort.
It does. And it's important to see this isn't just, a random spike. From what we understand, it's part of a wider ongoing drive.
Okay.
The focus seems pretty clear. Checking for illegal cattle slaughter, unauthorized beef sales. They seem particularly focused on restaurants and eateries.
Right.
And the scale, 196 arrests in that short time, that really signals a strong commitment to enforcing this specific law. It suggests it's sustained and not just sporadic.
Okay, so to really get why this is happening with such intensity, we need to look at the law itself, the Cattle Preservation Act of 2021. What are the key things in it that are driving these actions?
Right. So this act is basically the legal framework for cattle protection in Assam. It's very much rooted in the cultural and religious feelings in the state. It lays out some really critical prohibitions. For instance, it's a broad ban on selling or eating beef in public places, just generally.
Okay.
And it also bans those activities in areas where there are large populations of communities that, traditionally don't eat beef. It specifically lists Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains.
Ah, okay. So it's respecting those sensitivities.
Exactly. And there's a geographical element, too, which is quite specific.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is it uniform across the state, or are there zones, kind of?
You've hit on a key point. The act actually restricts any beef-related activities within a 5-kilometer radius of temples or similar religious institutions.
5 kilometers. That's quite a large area.
It is. It effectively creates this protective zone around holy sites. And then there's cattle transport. It's heavily regulated. You need valid permits. And crucially, these permits are only issued for agricultural or animal husbandry purposes.
Okay.
The law is explicit. No permits if the plan is slaughter. It's a very controlled system, trying to ensure cattle are moved for care, not consumption.
It seems pretty clear this law is deeply tied into that cultural and religious context, especially, the sacred status of cows in Hinduism. Mata, the cow mother.
Absolutely. It's much more than just animal welfare in that sense. It's spiritual, and that clearly influences policy.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that this 2021 Act, it isn't really new in concept. It's part of a much longer history in India.
Hey, really?
Yeah, cattle preservation laws go way back, even to the 19th century. We saw early laws in places like the Central Provinces and Berar around 1898.
Wow, okay.
And this tradition, it's evolved and strengthened in many states. Gujarat, Maharashtra, they have similar robust regulations. So Assam's law fits into this broader, long-standing national context of reverence and legislative protection for cows.
But this deep dive isn't just about the law or the enforcement. It's also turned up some, pretty surprising political drama. Adds a whole new layer. We've been looking into this scandal involving a very specific prized breed of cattle. It's really caught my eye.
You mean the Gur cows?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're highly valued, known for really high milk yield, and they have significant cultural status, too.
Right, and the state government, they actually bought 300 of these cows, didn't they, for a specific project?
That's right, for the Gorakhpuri Dairy Project. The idea, at least on paper, was to boost local milk production, help farmers. Seemed like a standard agricultural plan.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Allegations have surfaced now that a big chunk of those cows, 90 of them, were supposedly sold off.
90 out of 300.
Yeah, and apparently not just to anyone. The reports suggest they went to influential people, possibly including the wife of a minister, maybe some elected BJP members.
What?
Yeah, it's definitely become, as you said, a political hot potato. Lots of talk about favoritism and, well, potential wrongdoing.
And, as you'd expect, the opposition has jumped on this. The Congress Party is now demanding a CBI probe.
The Central Bureau of Investigation.
Exactly. India's main federal investigative agency, they're alleging corruption in the project. So suddenly, it's not just about cattle rules. It's about transparency, accountability, how public money is being used. It really broadens the controversy.
And the controversies, they don't actually stop there with the Gur cows. We also found concerns being voiced by the chief minister himself, Himanta Biswa Sarma. It highlights a really tricky balancing act.
It does. He publicly mentioned being concerned about the killing of 1,400 cows during Eid. This was in Dhubri town, specifically for Qurbani.
Right. And for you, the listener, Qurbani is that significant religious sacrifice during Eid al-Adha. It commemorates Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his son.
Precisely. So the chief minister's statement, it really puts the spotlight on that tension between, deeply held religious practices and the state laws designed to protect cattle.
Yeah, and that tension feels even sharper when you look at Assam's demographics. The 2011 census showed Hindus at about 61%, Muslims around 34%. That's a large minority group with distinct practices.
Yeah.
It really shows the challenge of governing such a diverse place with one set of rules, especially rules tied to majority sentiment.
It absolutely raises that fundamental question, doesn't it? How does any government enforce laws reflecting the majority's values, especially sacred ones, while also genuinely respecting the religious freedom and practices of other communities living in the same place?
Not easy.
Not at all. It's more than just legal or political. It's a really delicate societal challenge, requires constant, careful navigation.
So let's try and tie these threads together. What does all this mean for the people actually living in Assam? And for you, listening, trying to grasp the bigger picture, beyond the laws and culture, there's a real economic impact here, isn't there? Affecting livelihoods.
That's a critical point. The beef trade, even with restrictions, it's a source of income for many people.
Sure.
So when we talk about 196 arrests in just 2 days, that's not just a number. Those are families, individuals whose main income might just disappear overnight, potentially.
Yeah.
Think about a small eatery, maybe family run, suddenly shut down, or someone working further down the supply chain suddenly out of work. It's the human cost of enforcement. It hits that informal economy hard.
Yeah, that's a really important perspective. But then on the other side, people who support these crackdowns, they argue it encourages a shift, right, towards other things.
That's the counter argument, yes. They suggest things like dairy farming, for instance. Activities that might align better with the state's dominant cultural values and could potentially offer a more sustainable economic future for those communities.
So it's presented as an opportunity for change, in a way.
In a way. But if we zoom out again, this whole situation in Assam, it really feels like a microcosm. It reflects these bigger debates happening all across India and, frankly, in many diverse countries.
Finding that balance.
Exactly, that incredibly tough middle ground. How do you uphold deeply cherished cultural, religious values while also respecting different community practices and their economic needs? It's not just about passing laws. It needs real dialogue, real understanding. It shows that governing diversity often means making very difficult choices with very real impacts.
So this deep dive into Assam, it really just lays bare how complex it is to govern a diverse society. You've got the law, the enforcement, deeply held beliefs, economic realities, and just the basic need for different communities to live together is a constant push and pull.
It really is, and it leaves us with a lot to think about. It brings up that important question, maybe echoing what Gandhi said. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated.
Right.
But the question then becomes, how does a nation actually achieve that greatness? How does it do that while truly navigating the diverse practices, the beliefs, and importantly, the livelihoods of all its people? It's a powerful thought, and certainly not one with an easy answer.
No, definitely not. It's an ongoing story, clearly with many layers still unfolding. We really encourage you, our listener, to keep exploring these kinds of complex issues, keep asking questions, and keep seeking out those deeper understandings.